It's magical.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you. One of our greatest supporters and partners throughout the years, and we are immensely grateful. Thank you so much. And he gets a small one, even though he's a patron. Thank you so much.
It is indeed a great honor and privilege to represent the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces at the closing ceremony of the 2024 CAPS Forum. Let me say that over the last 2 days, a number of tropical issues have been discussed, and I have no doubt that the deliberations on the critical issue of migration and societal resilience were intensive and fruitful. The discussions have highlighted our awareness about the emerging dynamics of immigration in Africa and the role of various stakeholders in addressing these challenges. Let me take this opportunity to commend all of you for the effort which has culminated in crafting the key policy recommendations captured in the communique. Representation from key institutions, including but not limited to the United Nations, the AU and ECOWAS, and various embassies and high commissions, as well as the academia and key policy institutions, attest to the sustained interest in addressing the phenomena of migration and associated challenges. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, beyond the central theme of migration and societal resilience in a multipolar world, the two-day forum has also paid particular attention to a number of interconnected issues, including climate change, conflict, issues of gender and youth, transnational organized crimes, amongst others. The interconnection between these issues and the phenomenon of migration suggests that governance and security challenges confront our dear continent, particularly West Africa. Indeed, failure to put in place the necessary governance structures to reduce the desire to engage in illegal migration will continue to have dire consequences on the security of Africa, and particularly West Africa. And of course, the youth who take the risk to travel across the deserts, but regrettably get drawn in oceans and rivers and die in our deserts. And I listened to my good friend Musa yesterday, and I was pained when he put the issues very up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very clear from events within the ECOWAS CAP region over the last 4 years that we need to put good governance issues in the front burner. Nothing more, nothing less. We must let our voices be heard on the demand of our people for good governance from our leaders, and the need to respect term limits for every president, every prime minister, and every head of government to ensure the survival of democracy. We cannot and should never encourage the emerging trend where leaders extend or try to extend their term limits that do not conform to the constitution of their various countries. That we should not agree. That we should stand against. And that we should fight for. Good governance across Africa would ensure rapid development, which ultimately will lead to increased development and jobs for the youth, thereby reducing migration. Africa has everything. From these people, warm people, useful generation, the land, very fertile land. All you need is to pluck off a tree or pluck off a grass and plant a fruit, or plant cassava, or plant yam. Very fertile land. The example of Congo is sickening. The example of DR Congo is sickening. Central Republic is sickening. We have land, we have the people, we have the weather, we have rivers, we have everything God has given us to make and transform our countries into a place where our youth, our mothers, our sisters will stay, where we can be proud as people. But what do we see? Lack of good governance is causing our young people to migrate, to become slaves, and to be treated as second citizens in many, many countries. You see what is happening to some of the young girls who are serving as sex slaves, who are serving as domestic workers. The harrowing stories they tell and the way they are treated will tell us that it is time for Africans to wake up and give good governance. Nothing more, nothing less. That we should demand. Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, despite the challenges associated with migration as highlighted in the various sections, it was reassuring to hear discussions on building regional capacities to mitigate migration and conflict in Africa. To this end, I urge regional, continental, and global institutions to redouble their efforts in developing and supporting strategic initiatives to minimize these challenges. However, and more importantly, as indicated earlier, capacities of African states to address the phenomenon of migration and related challenges will be dependent on establishing good governance structures that are effective, responsive, and that seek to reduce poverty and unemployment, especially among the young people. Robust structures that can mitigate the effects of climate change, drought, and flooding should be given utmost attention as a way of building resilient communities and states. Your Excellencies, I humbly wish to remind all stakeholders about the recommendations captured in the communique and the report that will be produced subsequently. While we continue to engage in robust discussions on the key issues highlighted, I would also like to encourage practitioners and decision makers like myself and all others to find the means to implement these key recommendations. Let me also commend the KIPTC for bringing all the dignitaries together and for the conduct of yet another successful CAS forum on the important subject of migration and societal resilience. Finally, as the chair of the KIPTC governing board, I would like to express my gratitude to the governments of Norway and Germany and all other partners for their generous financial support, which culminated into the successful organization of this year's CAS forum. Ladies and gentlemen, on this note, I have the singular honor to declare the 2024 CAS forum officially closed.
It's magical.